It's May 2nd, 2023, and this is Sketchworks NewsBrake. The news stops here. I'm Brian Troxel, and I don't have a snappy opening this week. Joe Biden officially announced he will be running for a second presidential term. Oh, hooray! If elected, Biden would be 82 years old when he retakes office, meaning that by the time he leaves office, he'll be dead. While being interviewed at the White House last week, President Biden couldn't remember where each of his grandchildren lived. But at least he remembers the important things, like how much he loves to grope them. NBC News reports Florida man and Governor Ron DeSantis will announce his presidential campaign later this month. As the old saying goes, April showers bring May. God have mercy on us all. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is recruiting for 23,000 vacant city jobs by hitting the streets. Sources say Mayor Adams has hired 10,000 junkies, 8,000 rats, and 5,000 flashers to fill the positions. Russian cosmonauts have announced they will remain on the International Space Station until 2028. Why is that, you may be asking? Because they're more safe up there than they are in Russia. Turkey's president says his country's MIT intelligence agency killed the suspected leader of the terrorist group Islamic State. That's what happens when terrorists make fun of nerds. The Writers Guild of America is mad about something, I guess. I didn't really pay attention to it, but Sketchworks NewsBrake correspondent and IATSE member Allie O'Neill is here with a story about how the impending strike affects her.
Camera's rolling, sound is speeding, marking it. Okay, Brian, you can pick whichever one of these would be most appropriate given the circumstances. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Brian, I didn't write anything this week because what does that say? Because the writers... Brian, I didn't write anything this week because the writers went on strike and I'm not a picket line crossing scab. Solidarity forever. For Sketchworks NewsBrake, I'm Allie O'Neill. Okay, and then if that one's not appropriate, we've got 3, 2, 1. Brian, I didn't write anything this week because I thought the writers would be going on strike and that's how I was going to practice my solidarity, but... Oops. For Sketchworks NewsBrake, I'm Allie O'Neill. Just pick whichever one's gonna work. It doesn't matter to me, because nothing matters.
Thank you, Allie. Now, I didn't bother to learn what the situation is, and I can't really be bothered to care, but I did not want to risk crossing a picket line to edit that thing. Solidarity. And while our writers are not union and not paid, they will stand in solidarity with the striking scribes by not doing a very good job with this week's NewsBrake material. As you've probably already discovered. A school in Texas canceled a field trip to see a performance of James and the Giant Peach after finding out that certain roles would be played by the opposite gender. They were also mad that the peach was played by an apple. In a related story, Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller ordered his employees to dress according to biological gender. Fellers should wear a suit, tie, and a Stetson, while you cowgirls need to have on a skirt, a pretty blouse, nylon stockings with a back seam, and a black lace garter belt number like Dolly Parton wore in the best little whorehouse in Texas. Yeehaw! A woman's place is in the home. Yeehaw! Barefoot and pregnant. Yeehaw! I'm tired of sexually harassing what turns out to be a dude in a dress. Yeehaw! Texas! Yeehaw! Police in Florida arrested a man whose son showed up to an elementary school with a loaded gun in his backpack. The man claims he accidentally placed his gun in the wrong bag, which is understandable. Paw Patrol backpacks all look the same. Speaking of dogs and guns, a Wayne State University cop killed an emotional support dog near the Detroit campus. Sources say the golden doodle was mistaken for a gang leader. That dog must have been wearing a lot of bling. And our new sketch comedy stage show, Oh, for the Love of Sketch, is being performed at the Warehouse at Frat Pack Productions this Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. and next Friday and Saturday at 8 p.m. I'll be in the show that weekend. Get your tickets now at sketchworkscomedy.com. Where? Sketchworkscomedy.com. Say it again? No, I'm not going to do that. I've said it twice, and it's written right here. Water may be more widespread on the planet Mars than anyone ever knew. Sketchworks NewsBrake correspondent Tim Millard explains what China's Mars rover uncovered on the red planet.
Brian, I'm very sorry. I was going to do a very in-depth report, but I got dragged out to a bar on a Monday night with a bunch of degenerates. So,
I'm a regenerate.
So I'm sorry, Brian. I'll do better next time. For Sketchworks NewsBrake, I'm Tim Millard.
Thank you, Tim. I hope my wife doesn't find out that I was there last night. I also hope my wife doesn't find out that she's actually married to me. You know, a lot of regular viewers of Sketchworks NewsBrake have been saying to me recently, "Hey, Trox, Sketchworks NewsBrake hardly ever reports on baseball." And to those viewers, I say, you are right. The head of a 2,800-year-old Egyptian mummy is up for sale after spending decades in an Oxfordshire, England cupboard. A spokesperson for the mummy's head said it was looking forward to being on display in a museum so it can break out at night and search for the rest of its body. Prosecutors in Los Angeles charged a man with impersonating a doctor after they say he treated thousands of patients over several years with no medical license. They discovered the man was a phony because his medical bills were too affordable. The latest TikTok challenge has left a North Carolina teen with burns over 80% of his body. We here at Sketchworks NewsBrake want to encourage teens to take our Sketchworks classes instead of doing TikTok challenges over summer break. Hashtag Sketchworks Comedy Cares. Hashtag take our classes. Hashtag learn, don't burn. Classes like these. Hey friends, we are trying to get to 700 subscribers as quickly as possible. So please take a moment to click that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. It really does help. A new investigative study into the ASPCA by an industry watchdog shows that only 2% of the organization's donations went towards animal shelters. The other 98% went to Sarah McLachlan. Kiss guitarist Paul Stanley, a man who made a career out of wearing makeup and high-heeled boots, says parents are confusing children by teaching them gender identity and sexuality at too young an age. Speaking of sexuality at too young an age, please don't read the lyrics to the Kiss song Christine 16. Well, the final Late Late Show with James Corden aired on April 27th, and if you're anything like me, you didn't watch it. A CBS executive told Los Angeles Magazine that the network could no longer afford to produce the show. The show brought in $45 million a year in revenue, yet cost $65 million a year to produce. I'll tell you what, CBS, we will gladly make NewsBrake for you for a mere $15 million, leaving you a cool $30 million profit. It's a win-win. If you accept, comment below. Sketchworks Comedy. We will gladly take your money. Steven Spielberg says he regrets editing guns out of the 20th anniversary release of E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The scene in question shows gun-toting police officers chasing the kids helping E.T. Spielberg says he plans to make things right by putting the guns back in and using special effects to have the officers shoot the kids, plant guns on their bodies, and claim self-defense. A Purdue University chancellor who mocked Asian languages during a commencement speech will serve the rest of his term. The university's board of trustees decided to allow the chancellor to stay because he promises to make amends to the Asian community by portraying Mr. Yunioshi in the Purdue theatrical production of Breakfast at Tiffany's. That should smooth things over. On an episode of a podcast I shan't name, as they wouldn't mention us, Full House actor John Stamos revealed he tried to get the Olsen twins fired from Full House. He did this by planting forged letters in their dressing room, threatening the life of co-star Dave Coulier. Some of the content of those letters were later used by Alanis Morissette in her song, You Ought to Know. Wendy's announced that their chili will now be available for purchase at the grocery store in a can. Wendy's reminds its customers that the cans can be recycled as a vessel to catch your explosive diarrhea. The U.S. Transportation Department reports Frontier Airlines has the highest rate of passenger complaints of all U.S. airlines. We at Sketchworks NewsBrake will counter that by pointing out Spirit Airlines has the highest rate of punchlines among all U.S. airlines mentioned in NewsBrake. So, if anyone from Frontier is watching, at least you have that going for you. In an interview with Andy Cohen, actor David Arquette admitted during his marriage to Courtney Cox that he felt inferior to her. And that's all for Sketchworks NewsBrake. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too. I'm Brian Troxell. Say hi to your mom for me. That doesn't even make any sense.
So, I think it's very important, as you have heard from so many incredible leaders, for us at every moment in time, and certainly this one, to see the moment in time in which we exist and are present, and to be able to contextualize it, to understand where we exist in the history and in the moment as it relates not only to the past but the future.